Bruce Lee was an action hero, a cultural icon, and a martial arts legend. His legend is undeniable, but even legends have their beginnings and mentors. Before his show-stopping kicks and Hollywood fame, Bruce Lee was a young student with a passion for street brawls. His journey to greatness began with his teacher, Ip Man. But how did a young Bruce Lee come to train under this Wing Chun master? Their fascinating student-teacher relationship is a tale worth exploring, showcasing the path that transformed Bruce Lee into a martial arts champion. Throughout history, many of the world's most iconic figures have achieved greatness through the invaluable guidance of their mentors. Dynamic duos like Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Belichick and Tom Brady illustrate how mentorship can propel individuals to incredible heights. In the world of martial arts, Bruce Lee's legendary rise was guided by the tutelage of Wing Chun Grandmaster Ip Man during the 1950s. However, before Bruce Lee entered the scene, Ip Man's own story of becoming a Grandmaster is equally compelling. Ip Man's journey began on October 1, 1893, in Foshan, Guangdong. Born into a comfortable life as the third of four children to Ip or An Wu Yunyu, he enjoyed the privileges of a traditional Chinese education alongside his siblings. Yet, his destiny extended far beyond scholarly pursuits. At the tender age of 12, Ip Man's world shifted as he embarked on a kung fu journey under the guidance of Chan Wo-shun, a renowned Wing Chun master. Ip Man was Chan's 16th and last student, but their time together was brief. After 3 years of training, Chan suffered a mild stroke, forcing him to retire to his village in 1909. Although their lessons were cut short, this formative period laid the foundation for Ip Man's martial arts prowess. Following Chan's retirement, Ip Man's training was entrusted to Ing Chung-sok, Chan's second eldest student. Under Ing's watchful eye, Ip Man refined his skills and techniques, solidifying the base upon which his martial arts mastery would grow. His dedication flourished, and by the age of 16, he set off for new horizons in Hong Kong with the support of his relative, Lung Fuan. In Hong Kong, Ip Man enrolled at St. Stephen's College, a prestigious institution for the city's elite. Despite his academic commitments, the allure of martial arts remained strong. One day, a classmate named Lai introduced Ip Man to an exciting opportunity. Lai's father had a friend who was a renowned kung fu expert staying with their family. Intrigued, Ip Man accepted an invitation for a friendly sparring session, marking yet another pivotal step in his martial arts journey. At the time, Ip Man, undefeated and filled with youthful confidence, eagerly accepted a challenge to duel. He arrived for the match on a Sunday afternoon, his confidence bolstered as he prepared for the confrontation. After exchanging pleasantries, the fight began. However, the match was not what Ip had anticipated. His opponent, Lung Bick, easily dominated, displaying a speed and power that left Ip bewildered. Undeterred, Ip requested a rematch, determined to redeem himself. Sadly, the result was the same, another decisive defeat. Dejected and embarrassed, Ip retreated, his confidence shattered. The loss was so disheartening that he chose to conceal his knowledge of kung fu. Yet, a week later, an unexpected revelation changed everything. Lung Bick, far from being dismissive, had spoken highly of Ip's skills. To Ip's astonishment, Lung revealed that he was the son of Lung Jian, the master who had trained Ip's first teacher, Chan Wo-shun. This revelation marked the beginning of a new chapter in Ip's journey. Swallowing his pride, he sought further training under Lung Bick, continuing until Lung's passing in 1911. By 1916, at the age of 24, Ip Man had returned to Foshan. He secured a position as a police officer under the nationalist government. Though his official duties kept him occupied, his passion for Wing Chun remained undiminished. He did not establish a formal martial arts school but shared his knowledge with colleagues, close friends, and even relatives. Among his notable students were individuals like Lai Yu Chao, Kwok Fu, Lun Ka, Chen Chi-sun, and Lui Ying. Of these, Lai Yu Chao was considered a prodigy, exhibiting exceptional talent. However, he eventually left the martial arts world to pursue a career in commerce. This left a void, but Ip Man's legacy endured through students like Kwok Fu and Lun Ka, who took it upon themselves to spread Wing Chun throughout Foshan and the broader Guangdong region. Meanwhile, Ip Man built a life outside the martial arts world. He married a woman named Chung Wing Sing, and together they raised a family, including sons Ip Chun and Ip Ching, as well as daughters Ip No Sum and Ip No One. Despite the joys of family life, his era was marked by tumultuous events. When the Second Sino-Japanese War erupted, Ip Man found himself caught in the midst of national conflict. Aligning himself with the Kuomintang, his actions during the war remain somewhat mysterious. Some rumors suggest that he joined the Central Bureau of Investigation and Statistics, possibly traveling to Guilin in 1938 and later returning to Foshan as an undercover intelligence officer. However, this account is questioned by historians. A more widely accepted narrative suggests that Ip sought refuge with his student Kwok Fu during the war's most intense period. After the war subsided, Ip Man returned to Foshan and resumed his life there. Following the war, he briefly served as the captain of Foshan's police patrols. During this time, he managed to dedicate some effort to training his second son, Ip Ching, in the art of Wing Chun. However, in 1949, the political climate in China began changing rapidly. The Chinese Communist Party emerged victorious in the Chinese Civil War, leaving Ip Man, a member of the opposing Kuomintang, with an uncertain future. In late 1949, fearing for his safety, he made the difficult decision to leave Foshan for Hong Kong along with his wife and children. This marked the beginning of a fresh start fraught with challenges. Ip Man and his family arrived in Hong Kong in 1950, but their family unit would not remain intact for long. Chung, his wife, and their children soon returned to Foshan to retrieve essential identification documents. Unfortunately, this temporary separation turned permanent in 1951 when the borders between China and Hong Kong closed, effectively separating Ip Man from his wife for good. Chung remained in Foshan until her passing, leaving a lasting void in Ip Man's life. Life in Hong Kong was a stark contrast to what Ip Man had known in Foshan. At the age of 56, he faced the daunting challenge of unemployment. His previous experience as a police officer in Foshan held little value in Hong Kong, and joining the local police force either wasn't feasible or was simply not a path he wished to pursue. Thankfully, friends provided him with a lifeline. Ip Man secured a job at a restaurant, which not only provided him with much-needed income but also introduced him to a new network of people, including members of the Hong Kong Restaurant Workers Association. The association had a martial arts club led by Lung Xiong, but ironically, despite his deep connection to Wing Chun, Ip Man initially chose to keep his martial arts expertise hidden, hesitating to reveal this part of himself in his new environment. In addition to professional challenges, Ip Man also battled personal demons. He developed an addiction to opium, a vice that had followed him from Foshan. Opium was readily available on Hong Kong's black market, but its cost was steep. To support his family back in Foshan and sustain his addiction, Ip Man found himself in desperate need of increased income. This struggle for financial stability became a recurring theme during his early years in Hong Kong. The early 1950s marked a turning point for Ip Man. Confronted with financial hardship and the burden of his opium addiction, he decided to leverage his greatest skill, Wing Chun. Teaching martial arts became not just a passion but a means of survival. His initial students were an eclectic mix, including many from the Restaurant Workers Association, individuals who were often struggling to make ends meet and lacked formal education. Others were young men driven by the anxieties and frustrations of the turbulent times. In 1950s Hong Kong, far from a haven of peace, the appeal of learning self-defense and building resilience resonated deeply with them. They were drawn to Ip Man's charismatic personality and the promise of Wing Chun, a fighting style known for its effectiveness despite not requiring immense physical strength. However, establishing a successful school wasn't easy. Early on, Ip Man's classes struggled to retain students, with many coming and going after just a few months, making financial stability a constant challenge. He was forced to relocate his school twice, first to Castle Peak Road in Sham Shui Po and then to Leet Street in Yau Ma Ti. Despite these initial hurdles, there was a silver lining. As some of his students honed their skills, they reached a level of proficiency that allowed them to venture out and establish their own Wing Chun schools. These students, now masters in their own right, began participating in sparring matches with practitioners of other martial arts styles. Their victories reflected Ip Man's unique approach, which started to generate a buzz. Slowly but surely, Ip Man's reputation as a Wing Chun grandmaster began to spread throughout Hong Kong. Amidst his growing recognition, Ip Man's personal life remained complex. Around 1955, he entered into a relationship with a woman from Shanghai, referred to by his students simply as Shanghai Po. This extramarital affair resulted in the birth of a son, Ip Chua. The situation with Shanghai Po remained largely unknown to Ip Man's wife, Chung Wing Sing, who resided back in Foshan. Tragedy, however, struck in 1960 when Chung succumbed to cancer. Despite the distance and the existence of Shanghai Po, Ip Man undoubtedly felt the loss of his wife. He never formally introduced his mistress or their son to his other children, Ip Chun and Ip Ching. Ip Man's sons eventually arrived in Hong Kong in 1962, reuniting with their father after years of separation. As Ip Man's reputation in the Hong Kong martial arts scene grew throughout the 1960s, his student base began to diversify. Wealthier and better educated individuals, attracted to the unique effectiveness of Wing Chun, started seeking his tutelage. This shift in his student base improved his financial situation to some extent. However, Ip Man's struggles with opium addiction continued to cast a shadow over his life. In 1967, he collaborated with some of his students to establish the Wing Chun Athletic Association. While the association's stated purpose was to promote Wing Chun, some believed it was primarily created to address Ip Man's ongoing financial difficulties, which were largely a result of his opium use. One of his former students, Duncan Lung, even claimed that Ip Man diverted tuition money to support his addiction. Life dealt another blow in 1968 when Ip Man's mistress, Shanghai Po, also passed away from cancer. Their son, Ip Chua, would later follow in his father's footsteps, becoming a Wing Chun practitioner himself. Despite the complexities of his personal life, Ip Man's dedication to Wing Chun and his growing fame within the Hong Kong martial arts community continued to pave the way for a remarkable legacy. Ip Man's legacy is forever intertwined with that of one of his most famous students, Bruce Lee. Lee, considered by many as a martial arts icon, honed his skills under Ip Man's tutelage in the 1950s. This specific chapter of Ip Man's life has been brought to life on the big screen in the popular Ip Man film series, starring Donnie Yen. The third installment, Ip Man 3, depicts a young and eager Bruce Lee seeking out Ip Man and requesting to become his student. Their relationship takes center stage again in Ip Man 4, the finale, which jumps forward in time to a period after Lee's training with Ip Man had concluded. This film explores the unique bond between master and student, showcasing Ip Man's visit to Lee in the United States. Ip Man's influence on Bruce Lee is undeniable, as Lee's revolutionary approach to martial arts, Jeet Kune Do, drew heavily from the foundation he received in Wing Chun under Ip Man's tutelage. However, Lee's influence on Ip Man should not be overlooked. Lee's international fame played a significant role in raising Ip Man's profile and bringing Wing Chun to a wider audience. This connection between the two martial artists also sparked interest in how Bruce Lee became Ip Man's student. While the Ip Man films offer a captivating glimpse into the relationship between the Wing Chun master and his most famous student, the real-life story behind Bruce Lee's arrival at Ip Man's doorstep is equally fascinating. Extensive research and interviews with those who knew them paint a picture of a young Bruce Lee who was far removed from the stoic and focused image we often associate with him. Lee's childhood, spent working as an actor, was marked by a rebellious streak. He wasn't afraid to get into fights and even led his own street gang, the Junction Street Tigers. These frequent fights fueled his desire to learn kung fu, which he saw as a way to gain the upper hand over his rivals. Fate intervened through Lee's friend William Chung, who was already a student of Ip Man. Chung became the bridge between the two martial arts legends. Sensing Lee's genuine interest in kung fu, Chung introduced the then 15-year-old to his master, Ip Man. Ip Man, in turn, took Lee under his wing, though this was done through Chung's martial arts academy. This indirect approach may have been Ip Man's way of easing Lee into the traditional Wing Chun system, while observing his progress and commitment. Lee's journey under Ip Man's tutelage had just begun, and the lessons and foundation laid during this period would play a crucial role in shaping Bruce Lee's future as a martial artist and global icon. The decision to accept Bruce Lee as a student marked the beginning of a unique and multifaceted learning experience. While the films portray a more direct master-student relationship, the reality was different. Ip Man didn't immediately take Li under his personal wing for direct instruction. Instead, Ip Man entrusted Li's initial training to one of his most senior students, Wang Shunliang. Wang, a highly skilled practitioner himself, became Li's primary instructor, providing him with a solid foundation in Wing Chun techniques. Li, motivated by his relentless desire to improve, thrived under Wang's tutelage. His dedication and progress were undeniable, and this didn't go unnoticed by Ip Man, who took a keen interest in Li's development. While Wang provided the foundation, Ip Man himself began to take a more active role in Li's training, imparting not just fighting techniques but also a deeper understanding of the philosophy behind Wing Chun. This philosophical aspect of martial arts, often referred to as the internal way, is what truly separates exceptional fighters from mere practitioners. Li's iconic quote, "Be water, my friend," exemplifies this internal aspect, speaking to the concept of adaptability and fluidity, which is a core principle in Wing Chun. Li's journey under Ip Man and Wang Shunliang wasn't without its hurdles. While his training progressed significantly, his background presented an unexpected obstacle. Li's status as a former child actor and the rapid progress he made under Wang led to resentment among some of his peers. This jealousy manifested in a campaign to have Li expelled from the Wing Chun school. Their primary weapon against him was his heritage. With his mother being Eurasian, they used his background as ammunition in their argument, questioning Ip Man's decision to teach a foreigner. This prejudice unfortunately wasn't uncommon at the time, as many traditional schools held a strict policy of only admitting students of pure Chinese descent. However, Ip Man wasn't swayed by these arguments. He saw Li's talent and dedication, and more importantly, perhaps he recognized the potential for a student-teacher relationship that could transcend cultural barriers. Ip Man defied tradition and stood by his decision to keep Li under his wing. This act of acceptance not only protected Li's future and Wing Chun but also spoke volumes about Ip Man's character and his vision for his martial art. Despite this display of support from Ip Man, the animosity from some classmates undoubtedly cast a shadow over Li's training experience. He had to navigate a complex social dynamic within the school, dealing with jealousy and prejudice while simultaneously striving to excel in his martial arts studies. This challenging environment, however, ignited Li's determination and instilled in him the resilience he would need to face future obstacles. Despite the challenges, Li persevered in his training under Ip Man and Wang Liang. In later years, he himself acknowledged that his initial motivations for learning Wing Chun might not have been entirely pure. Regardless of his initial reasons, Li's dedication and talent shone through. The training he received had a profound impact on him as he absorbed the technical skills of Wing Chun, the philosophical underpinnings Ip Man instilled in him, and the discipline required to excel in this demanding martial art. However, mastering Kung Fu didn't magically solve all of Li's problems. His involvement with a youth gang continued to cause trouble. To ensure his safety and offer him a fresh start, Li's family made the difficult decision to send him to the United States at the age of 18. This decision marked the end of Li's formal training under Ip Man, but it was far from the end of his martial arts journey. The United States became a new chapter in Li's life, where he continued to hone his martial arts skills, eventually establishing his own schools and sharing his knowledge with others. Li's charisma, combined with his impressive martial arts abilities, caught the attention of Hollywood. He transitioned into the world of film, showcasing his talents on the silver screen and ultimately becoming a global icon, the superstar of martial arts cinema. His films not only introduced Kung Fu to a worldwide audience but also revolutionized the action genre, leaving an indelible mark on cinema history. The question of who would win in a fight between Ip Man and Bruce Lee is a topic of endless fascination for martial arts enthusiasts. The very notion of these two legends facing off sparks the imagination. For some, it's a clash of titans, a battle between master and student. However, before we delve into hypothetical battles, there are some key factors to consider. While it's true that Bruce Lee received Wing Chun training from Ip Man, it's important to remember that Lee never completed his formal education under the master. Ip Man, on the other hand, was a dedicated practitioner and teacher who had honed his Wing Chun skills for decades. This extensive experience and mastery of the art form would undoubtedly give Ip Man a significant advantage. However, this doesn't diminish Lee's accomplishments. Lee didn't remain tethered to traditional Wing Chun. He used his experience under Ip Man as a foundation to develop his own revolutionary martial arts philosophy, Jeet Kune Do. Jeet Kune Do emphasized adaptability and practicality, drawing influences from various martial arts styles. In this sense, Lee transcended the limitations of a single style, creating a more fluid and versatile approach to combat. In this scenario, Bruce Lee would likely leverage the versatility of Jeet Kune Do against Ip Man's refined Wing Chun techniques. Ip Man, with his mastery of Wing Chun's principles, would undoubtedly pose a formidable challenge. However, Lee's adaptability and innovation, inherent in Jeet Kune Do, could potentially give him an edge. Ultimately, this hypothetical battle remains just that, a thought experiment. Both Ip Man and Bruce Lee were exceptional martial artists who left a lasting legacy on the world. Their contributions to Wing Chun and martial arts as a whole far outweigh any hypothetical fight. Perhaps the true victory lies in the inspiration they continue to provide for martial artists and action movie fans alike, a legacy forged in fire. Sadly, Ip Man's story doesn't end on a triumphant note. A shadow fell upon him in the form of throat cancer. This relentless illness ultimately claimed his life on December 2, 1972, a mere 7 months before the world would be shocked by the sudden passing of Bruce Lee. Ip Man passed away in Hong Kong, leaving a void in the martial arts world. His final days were marked by a quiet determination to preserve his legacy. Aware of his failing health, Ip Man made a poignant decision. He arranged to be filmed performing the Wing Chun forms as a way to ensure that his knowledge and technique would live on even after he was gone. The video of him demonstrating the wooden dummy form is particularly moving. The effects of cancer are evident. Weakness forces him to pause on multiple occasions, with one of his sons standing by ready to assist if needed. This powerful scene was later depicted in the film Ip Man 4. Despite his passing, Ip Man's legacy continues to flourish. He is remembered not just as a skilled fighter but as a dedicated teacher who nurtured countless students. His lineage boasts the largest number of Wing Chun practitioners in the world. Millions of individuals around the globe practice Wing Chun today, each one carrying a piece of Ip Man's legacy within them. Ip Man's impact extends far beyond the realm of martial arts. He embodied the values of discipline, respect, and perseverance. His story, one of overcoming challenges and leaving a lasting legacy, continues to resonate with people from all walks of life. He is remembered as a master teacher, a skilled fighter, and a man who remained true to his principles until the very end. The enduring enigma of Ip Man's life and legacy remains shrouded in a certain mystique. Even with all that we have come to learn about him, films depicting his life have attempted to fill in some of the gaps, often portraying him in a more glamorous or action-packed light than reality. However, the true story of Ip Man is no less captivating. His dedication to Wing Chun was unparalleled. His meticulous preservation of the art form, and his willingness to share his knowledge continue to benefit practitioners worldwide. He left behind not just a fighting style, but a Wing Chun way of life, a philosophy that extended beyond the physical aspects of the art. Without his influence, the art form might not have reached the widespread recognition it enjoys today. The surge in Wing Chun's popularity can be partly attributed to the Ip Man films. One of the earliest portrayals was in the 1976 film Bruce Lee, The Man, the Myth, where Ip Man was played by his own son, Ip Chun. In a way, these films granted Ip Man a kind of cinematic immortality. However, Donnie Yen, the actor who brought Ip Man to life in the later Ip Man films, expressed concerns about the oversaturation of the character. After the release of Ip Man 2, Yen stated his intention to step away from the role, fearing that everyone would jump on the bandwagon and exploit the character's popularity. He worried that this excessive focus would hinder progress and overshadow the true essence of Ip Man's legacy. Yen's words, despite his own later return to the role in Ip Man 3 and Ip Man 4, hold merit. The sheer number of films has led some to view Ip Man as an almost superhuman figure. The reality is that Ip Man was not a mythical character but a man whose legacy is nonetheless extraordinary. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next one.